Hi everyone, welcome to the Knitting Turnpike. Welcome to the Knitting Turnpike. My name is Gina Pike. I'm so happy that you're here today. Today I'm going to be doing my week 10 of 2022 vlog. This is where I'm going to be giving you guys an update of what I did since I did last week's week 9 vlog. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 whips that I've started this week, and they're all mystery crochet and knit alongs. I do have some other projects that you guys have sent me to share here, and just going to be talking a lot about projects and yarn and knitting and crochet. So I hope that you'll want to spend some time with me today. Grab something to drink, sit down, and let's get into it. The first thing that I'm going to share with you here today is that there are currently 2 year-long projects that are being hosted by Expression Fiber Arts. One is a year-long crochet along. The other one is a year-long knit along. Now, both of these projects were done by the same designer, Jane Vanselous, and at the end of the year, you will have a beautiful blanket that you've made. One is knit, one is crochet. Now, I'm going to be inserting a video clip to explain it because I filmed this at another time, but I wanted to introduce it, and I want to give you a couple of updates for a couple of mystery knit alongs. And there's a mystery knit along and there's a mystery crochet along that's going on right now. The first one I'm going to talk about is the crochet along. Both of these, the knit along and the crochet along, are year-long projects. They are sponsored by Expression Fiber Arts, Shandi. We know her as Shandi, and both of these patterns are written by Jane Vanselous. And these are both blanket projects, again, year-long, so you get 1 clue every month. And these started in January, and they will be finishing up in January of 2023. I'm really excited. I'm going to try to do both of them, and I want to show you the clues, show you them, and tell you a little bit about each one of them. You still have plenty of time to get started. Now, I'm trying to use yarn from my stash. She recommends using this is a worsted weight yarn, and she recommends using her enduring worsted yarn that she sells on her website, which is gorgeous. Her yarn is a superwash merino wool, all these beautiful colors. She has some color palettes you can pick from. If you want to buy her yarn, I highly recommend it. It's gorgeous and soft to work with, amazing. Now, I can't afford that. I'm going to be using yarn from my stash. The first one is the crochet along, and this is called the Hearthside MKAL mystery crochet along. So we don't know what it's going to look like, except there are some clues. The finished size is going to be roughly 46 inches by 60 inches. You use a US H8 or whatever, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook, or whatever it is you need to get gauge. Now, I'm a very tight crocheter, and I did do the gauge recommendations as they recommended. They give you some instructions on how to do the gauge, and my gauge is always tight. So I went up to a USI, which is a 5.5 crochet hook for this square that I'm about to show you. These squares, I think each month is going to be a different color of yarn. Now, for me, I looked in my stash, and they recommend you use something with a natural fiber in it instead of acrylic, because you're going to be blocking. Now, again, I'm going to be using what I have in my stash, and my yarn is mostly acrylic. I'm going to be using Lion Brand Woolies yarn. Sorry, I got my light on because it's getting dark. This is Lion Brand Woolies yarn, and this yarn is worsted weight. It is each skein is 85 grams, 197 yards, or 180 meters. It is 80% acrylic, 20% wool worsted weight. Now, her enduring worsted weight yarn is 180 yards. And it said in the instructions that you're going to probably use up most of that each month. So that's why I picked this one as well, is because each one of these skeins is 197 yards, and I had 12 or more of these. Now I'm going to be trying to use, I have natural, the color natural, just like a undyed skein. I have like 3 or 4 of these. These are the gray heather, and then I have a lot of this one, which is the I think Oxford heather. Hold on one second. This is the Oxford gray. So these are the colors I'm planning on using. Really neutral kind of blanket. And I'm excited to use these up because I have more than 12 skeins total of all these 3 colors. Now, in my stash, I do have some other colors. Like I think I have 2 skeins of a dark magenta color. I think it's called Xenia. I have 2 skeins of a seafoam green, which would look really nice with that. I have 2 skeins of pumpkin, which would look nice. I think I have a mustard. I have some red. I have some blue. I have some forest green also of that same yarn. So if I decide that I want to bring in, like when I look at the clue and I think some other colors might look nice, I might bring in some of those other colors. But for now, I'm planning on these 3. But you can pick 12 different colors, and I think that's how she's going to recommend it with her yarns as she's going forward. So here's my first clue. This was January's clue, and this is a crochet square. There is a video tutorial that will take you from, you start here in the center, and then you go out. I think it'll take you through here, like row 7, and then the rest of this is pretty simple. But there's a video tutorial. I'll link it below. There's also a video tutorial for the knitting one, but this is what it looks like. Let me show you, get a little bit closer. There's some treble crochets in there. There's a trefoil stitch. Really simple crochet, but I think it turned out really pretty. It's a pretty big square too, as you can see. I think it's 15 by 14. And that's where and I used almost my whole skein. This is what I left over of the full skein. I think this is 8 grams, which is like 15 yards. So, did a pretty good job there. And that's it again. That's Hearthside. Okay, now I'm going to give you an update on and a little bit of information about the knitting mystery knit along from Expression Fiber Arts. That's going to be the year-long project where you're going to make a blanket. This project is called Perseverance. Again, this is hosted by Expression Fiber Arts, and the designer, the lady who wrote the pattern, is Jane Vanselous. And this is a totally knitted pattern. Now this is a blanket again, and again they're recommending to use enduring worsted weight yarn from Expression Fiber Arts, which is a mostly, I think it's a superwash merino wool yarn, natural fiber. And they have 2 different color palettes you can buy, and I believe each month is going to be a different color. So 1 clue a month, a different color. And I looked in my stash. Let me get to that in a second. This blanket is going to be 43 inches by 66 inches, which is 109 by 168 centimeters. The recommended needle is a US 8, 32 inches to use for this project. Now for me, I'm a loose knitter. I'm a tight crocheter, a loose knitter. So I took my needle size down to a US 7, 32 inches. I did do the gauge swatch as suggested, and I did get a little bit big, not enough stitches for the gauge, so I took it down a needle size, and it worked. Let's see. Now this one is going to be a little bit different in the fact that instead of doing squares, this is going to be a rectangular blanket. It's going to be worked from edge to edge. So you start out on one edge and you go all the way across. It gets bigger and then it comes down to the other end. And it says if you're using a yarn other than what's called for, try to use one with some mostly natural fibers, because you're going to need to be able to block the blanket to get the straightest edges possible. Sections 1 through 6 are going, so the first 6 clues are going to use 6 unique stitch patterns, and then the same stitch patterns are going to be used in sections 7 through 12. Let's see. Talks about how to slip the stitch. Definitely work the gauge, because especially if you use different yarns, because it may not do exactly the same with the knitting needle you're using, and you don't want it to pull, if it's pull in, or maybe be too loose and not look well with the other yarns that you're using. So you're gonna have to gauge swatch every time you do, every month. So I started mine. Let me show you the yarns I'm using. I have 5 yarns, 5 colors of this yarn in my stash, but I'm only going to use 4 of them. I'm going to be using, okay, so let me show you the yarns I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using this yarn in my stash from Knit Picks. It's Provincial Tweed. It's a worsted weight yarn, and this is let's see, 80% superwash fine Highland wool. I didn't realize it was superwash. Oh, that's good to know. I thought it was non-superwash, and it's 20% Donegal tweed. There's the label for it and the information on it, and then here's the front of the label. And I'm using, I've got 5 colors in my stash, but I'm going to use these 4 colors for my blanket. And let me show these up close. Now this one is called Pumpkin Spice, or I'm sorry, Pumpkin Pie. This one is called Cream. This one's called Coffee Bean. And then this one's called Caramel. And I think they look really nice together. Let me see if I can show you a side of them where they're not, no labels. And that's what I'm going to be using for my blanket. And I'm kind of excited because I think I might be able to make it more striped. I didn't think about that until I knit the first clue. So the first clue is just one color. It's called, I used the Coffee Bean for this. And let's see, let me get the right edge. This is the first clue. You can see it's mostly just garter stitch knitting, but there are a few special stitches in here to make this little bobbly stitch. There is a tutorial, video tutorial to get you started on this. I will link it. That's from Expression Fiber Arts. I'll link that down below. You can see my yarn's got the brown and the gold in it, and that's how big it is. This is a 32-inch needle, and it's already kind of taken up the whole side of it. We're at about 100 and something stitches right now. And then here's the yarn that I had left over from my square. I only used like 34 grams of yarn, so I hope that's okay, but it looks pretty similar to the other projects going on. I believe there's like 200 people, 300 people knitting this. No, there's 400 and something people knitting it, and then for the crochet one there's like 300 people doing that one. But that's that. Again, a year-long project, a clue every month, and that's what it's looking like. So, I would love to have you jump in and participate with me. I wanted to mention these, and in case you want to, and a lot of other people are doing it. It looks like a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see where these blankets will take, where they will take us with these blankets, and also excited to use up some yarns from my stash. This is going to use up a pretty good amount of yarns for each one of these. So thank you for letting me share that. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm excited. Now clue 2 for the knitted, the Perseverance has already been released. So hopefully I can work on that this week and maybe share that with you next week in my next vlog. But I'm not sure exactly what color I'm going to pick for my clue 2 yet. I am leaning towards maybe this pumpkin pie one to go with next to that brown. So we'll see in next week's vlog which one I end up picking. But I do have this one pulled out. I've got to do my gauge swatch and see what I can get for my gauge. All right, so the next item I'm going to share with you is a knit along, a mystery knit along. Now this started on the Tuesday, 2/22/22, which was Tuesday, as a Tuesday. That's hard to say fast. But this is a mystery shawl knit along. I mentioned it a while back. Okay, this is being hosted by Lyrical Knits, who is Mary Annarella. And the clues. Okay, it started on 2/22. You get one new clue a week. There are going to be 5 clues, so this is going to run. The last clue will be March the 22nd. So it just started. If you want to join in and knit this along with all of us, there are about over 700 people knitting this in Ravelry right now, and there's a group for Lyrical Knits. You can post pictures, progress pictures. You can ask questions, share things, gripe about things, praise certain things, whatever you want to do. This is what the page looks like. I did not print this in color. It's yellow, and it's got all the details in here for clue 1. I'm going to show you my clue 1. If you want to knit this along with us and you do not want to see what the clue looks like, this is probably a good time for you to stop the video and just call it a day right there. But if you want to see what my clue 1 looks like, please continue on with me. Just as a reminder, I'm using a kit that I bought from Amanda Hope Yarns. I hope I can kind of folded that right on the A, but it's Amanda Hope. Maybe that's a little bit better. Amanda Hope Yarns, Aussie Extra Fine Merino Wool, the Superwash Merino. This yarn is so awesome. It's squishy, it's soft. Let's see, let's get the breakdown. It's 4-ply, and it's let me get the breakdown for you. It's 100 grams, 400 meters, and it is Australian Merino, and it is, I guess it's just 100% Australian Merino. It is amazingly soft and fun to knit with. It's the same yarn I used for my Stephen West Shawlography. Here, maybe I show the back like that. My first color is wheat, and that's these are my colors. This is the wheat. As you can see, it's a little variegated. My second color is this bronze. I bought these in a kit, and it's actually kind of variegated too. The reason why I'm pointing out the variegation is important, as you're going to see here in a second. My color 3 is this oil rubbed bronze, and then my color 4 is this gold ochre. So these are my colors that I'm using, and I bought them in a kit. Something about, I think it's called, if you, let's see, it's you rush in a miracle man, you get rotten miracles. That's what it's called. She's still selling these on her website. I will put her website down in the description box below if you're interested. She has a lot of other colorways. There are other companies selling this, sets for this. I think Miss Babs has some. Emma's Yarns, I think, are selling some. So that's in the thread in Ravelry if you're interested in finding a kit. A lot of people just pulled stash from their yarn. I had this kit in my stash. I didn't buy it for this project, but I had it in my stash, and then she ended up selling these for this project. So it's kind of ironic and kind of funny, but I am loving this. I will say for the color work, for where okay, the way she described it, and I promise I'm going to show it. Now the color work, when you were picking your colors, it isn't necessarily light to dark. She said kind of think about colors 1 and 2 are going to have color work together. So that's why I picked those 2 together. And then colors 3 and 4 we're going to have color work together. So that's why I picked those for the contrast. Now these 2, since they are variegated, there are points in my color work that I'm going to show you where it's not as crisp as the color work is with these 2 that are just more solid tonal colors. So that's something to think about. If you're going to be knitting this, you may want to consider definitely less variegated yarns, but there can be a little variegation. Like this is still good enough, and you'll see here. If you're ready, I'm ready. I'm going to show you my clue 1 and explain a little bit about this. So here is my clue 1. Let me hold it the way we started it. We started right here with this, right here, garter stitch tab cast on, where that pin is, stitch marker, and we did this triangular section right here, and I hope you can see the variegation in my color 1. It has some pops of gold in there. That's kind of why I ended up picking that bronze for my color 2, because it has the gold in this, the gold in this is this gold, and I thought it would, it might not work great for the color work. So think about that when you're picking yarns for this, if you want to do this. Now, in these, she does these things called fire pits. This is all based on The Princess Bride, the movie and the book. I've never read it or seen the movie, but there's something about a fire pit. So there's these bursts of fire being knit in section 1 and in some of the solid sections. Now, the one thing I really like about this is you see how it went. This was the center, and it went all the way to here, and then the center shifted, because then we did this next section, was this gold section 2, and what you did to create this and to make the center come over here, you can see the center shifted to here. So what we did, which was very interesting, is we put the stitches, like all these stitches for the gold part was on one needle. All the stitches that were holding this other part were on another knitting needle. I have some pictures I can insert. Hopefully you can see that there are 2 knitting needles. So that's another thing to think about if you're going to be knitting this. You will need two sets of knitting needles, same size for whatever size it is for the gauge that you're going to be using. Now for me, she recommends a US 6. I know that I'm a loose knitter, so I didn't do a gauge swatch. You can if you want to. I just took it down a size. I didn't want there to be a lot of looseness. Like I didn't want a lot of open holes. I like to block my things. So I thought make it tight because I knew there's going to be color work. So I just took it down to US 5 is what I'm using. So again, you need 2 needles for that. I'm using US 5 32 inch for my knitting. Now here we go again. All right, that was section 1, and then you knitted half of it, and you knitted this gold section. You can see the pops of fire there. I'll put a close-up picture of that as well, so you can see it without me moving it. Some people are really wanting more pops of fire, so like they're embroidering a pop of fire like here, putting more in like here. And there is another solid section. We only had 1 pop of fire there, and they're putting like more pops of fire in as they want. They're just embroidering it on top of their knitting. So that's a really interesting idea, something fun you could do. Now, after you did the gold section, which is only knitting half of it, you came around and you picked up all the stitches. Well, you had the stitches all on your needle here, and then you had all the stitches on the other side of it, like to here. I'm sorry, it was actually it was to here. You had to pick up stitches for this other section. You had to go through the garter stitch ridges. I have a little bit of a close-up of a picture of that. And then you had to take the stitches off the rest of your needle to finish this out. And you did that with the color 3, which is my really dark oil rubbed bronze. And then you had the gold on there already from this, and then you just started doing color work with the gold and the oil rub bronze, the dark brown. And that is like it's just simple slip stitch color work. You can see what it looks like on the back. There wasn't more than 1 or 2 stitches you had to slip at a time. I think it was more like 1. So it's very neat, very easy. And then there is a stitch that you have to do where you end up having, when you slip the stitches, it was 3 stitches. You slip the stitches, you have the yarn in the back. So you're working on the wrong side. You have the yarn in the back, which is on the front side, and you create this bar, which is like this. And then after you do that, you come down a few rows, and then you knit under the bar and into a stitch, which lifts the bar. It lifts, see this is the bar, it lifts the bar, and it creates these great, beautiful honeycomb sections like that. So it's a really fun stitch. That's in that section there. It's called Knit 1, and I think it's ULS, under the loose stitch. So it's kind of fun to do, and this color work is very simple, so very simple. Like I said, you only do 1 color per row, so it's very, very easy to do, and slip stitch knitting, mosaic knitting. Fun fact, Inigo Montoya's face is actually in the design of the shawl. Can you see it here in this side-by-side comparison with his face there? It's also easier to see with a lighter background, which is why I use this picture. So again, then after you do that, you split your stitches again. You have some over here on one knitting needle. You leave them, and then you take these others and put them on a knitting needle, and you do this half of them. You do this section, this light white cream section with yellow. You do that. You knit back and forth, and then in there you also do this flame in there as well. These stitches that are over here are just left on the knitting needle, and you can see you knit that much, and then once you get to there, you have your stitches on the knitting needle, the white, and you come around, and when you get to here, you turn it, and you have to pick up stitches here again like you did before down below in the garter stitch ridges. And you can see I picked them up here, and a stitch in each garter stitch ridge. And then I picked one up here, and then I took all the stitches that were on the other knitting needle and just knit into that. And then so you have all of your stitches on on one needle again, like this, and you have a center stitch, a marker to keep them separate. And you can see how it's shifting. I love how it's doing this. See, that was the center, but then you came over here, and the center shifted here and here for this color work, and then when you got to here, the center's shifting back. It looks like it's lined up right there with that. So the center is shifting back to here. So I'm guessing maybe it's going to shift. After this, we're going to do another wedge, and maybe it'll shift back over here. But I love how she's doing this. It's creating a very unique, interesting line. I do think the shape is going to be maybe similar to, it's an interesting shape. It's kind of arrow shaped. As you can see, the edges are very straight here like this, and then the edge on this side is straight like this. Now, she did a mystery knit along last year, which I did not know about or participate in. It's called The Knights Who Say Knit. The Knights Who Say Knit. I'm going to insert a picture here. I think this shape might end up being like that. It's long rectangular, but it's arrow. The colors and color work are going like in an arrow across the rectangle, so it's not just a boring rectangle. It's got different sections of texture. Now with this year, she is, like I said, she's changing up the center of this, which makes the arrow even more unique, because you can see how it's the points there again, point. Now the center's here and here for that, then the center shifting back to here and here, and again, I don't know if it's going to shift in the next clue or not. We'll just have to see. But this is my last section, and this is the color work that happened between colors 1 and 2. And as you can see, my colors 1 and 2 are more variegated, so my color work is not as crisp. Like, see, you can see right here how my color, that bronze, changed a little bit. So it's not a harder line there. It kind of shifts in color, but I like it. It gives a little bit of a marled effect. And see here how my bronze has a little bit different hue there. But it's still, you can tell you can still see the other line of color going there. And it still works. It's just not quite as crisp, but it is very pretty. And that's the color work. And this color work is the same. It's just slip stitch color work, mosaic knitting. Very easy to do. Here's what the back looks like. It's very neat, organized, weaving in the ends as you go along, and it looks really good. Here's the whole back, and that is, this is called As You Wish, an Inconceivable MKAL, and this is a mystery knit along with Lyrical knits, and it's all based on The Princess Bride. And that's where I've gotten so far. And if you check it out, there's so many. Like I said, I think there's 700 something people knitting this, maybe 800 by now. There are so many variations of color. Some are super colorful, like neon greens and pinks and purples. Some of them are more neutrals, like me. Some of them are all colors all over the place, rainbow colors. Some of them are just shades of pink, shades of purple. They're beautiful. So if you want to do this, please jump in and knit this along with us. You're not that far behind. You can get caught up. I started this probably I think I cast on Tuesday night, but I didn't have much time to work on it Tuesday. So Wednesday, and I finished it Friday. So it takes a couple of days, and I didn't work on it solidly. I had a couple of other things to do as well. I had Bible study. That takes a lot of my Wednesdays. It didn't take that long to knit. It's pretty easy knitting, garter stitch knitting, most of it, and then simple color work. So if you want to do it, please do. Jump in and knit it along with us. I'll put a link to all of this to the project page down in the description box below, and to my page in Ravelry if you want to check out my project, how I ordered my yarns a little bit more. I put the weights of my yarns in there so you can see how much yarn I use for clue 1, and I'll try to be consistent and do that for clues 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see. Now we're going to get to the point where I'm going to talk about some projects that you guys have sent me that you guys want me to share. I have 3 people here today that want to share projects. Thank you guys so much for sending these in. I love you guys. I love it. This is my favorite part of my videos, when people send me items to share. So the first item is from Shari, Addicted to My Crocheting Montgomery. That's a mouthful. She shared with us a knitted scarf. Now, I know Shari's been doing knitting and crochet. Last year, she's been working on her knitting, so she shares with us a knitted scarf, which is really beautiful. There's some striping there, really pretty. And then she's also sharing with us a crocheted baby blanket. So she's doing both of her crafts, and it's gorgeous. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Shari. I really do appreciate that. The next person to share with us is Angela Dew, and she is Angelic Pearl on Ravelry. Go check out her Ravelry projects and pages. She has all of her projects there. The first item she's sharing with us here is some Amigurumi. It's 2 sheep, or I have one picture of 1 sheep. This is done with Lion Brand homespun yarn. And the pattern is called Sheep Pull Toy Pattern on Ravelry. She used a lot of scraps from her stash, some creams and dark grays, and it's really cute. Then she is showing her shawlography, the pattern by Stephen West that I also knitted earlier this year. And she used Knit Picks fingering, superwash merino wool, some other yarn she had in her stash, and she said she is doing as much as she's going to do, and that's what it looks really beautiful. I love the striping and the colors you picked. It looks really nice. And then she's also sharing another shawl, which is called the Winter Chill Shawl Pattern, and the pattern is by Very Pink Knits. She says it's a free pattern. I haven't verified that, but supposedly it's a free pattern that you can get. And she's using some more Lion Brand homespun yarn. The purple is in Gothic. It's very beautiful. I love all the colors she put together there. It looks really, really nice. Thank you for sharing that. And then the last item she's sharing with us is a KAL of her own pattern. Some stuff she threw together. This is using some cashmere merino silk blend yarn that she had in her stash. It's really, really beautiful. Thank you for sending that in to share with us here, Angela. The last person to share with us today is Dorit Pinto. She is sharing some socks. First of all, she's sharing some socks on some family feet here. So cute. She's also sharing with us some Amigurumi, little sock monkeys. Super cute. And then the last item she's sharing with us, I just absolutely adore. She's making a wearable top, a crochet top. This is the Aliska pattern from Caitlin Hunter. And the main fiber in her yarn is 50% cotton, and it looks so good on you. Thank you for sending that in to share with us. If you see these women down in the comments, tell them what a great job they did, and thank them for sending these projects in to share with us. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll be doing another blog update next week. Also, something to keep aware of is I'm going to be starting to do videos for my 2,500 subscriber celebration. I talked a little bit about that in my last live that I did on the 24th, but I will be doing I'm going to be doing several items in my giveaway, but I'll be doing a video for each item, so you don't have to take notes and remember all the different words for each item, but I'll post a different video every day. If you don't like the item, don't worry about it. Don't put a comment, but if you like the item, put one comment down below with a word. And then on the 19th of March, I'm going to be doing a live show. That is a Saturday morning. I'm going to be doing the live show at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, and probably go for a couple of hours. I will go to each one of the videos, use the YouTube random comment picker, and select the comments based on the words that I mentioned for you guys to put in a comment if you're interested in winning. And we'll pick all the winners for those items. And there might be some other stuff thrown in there as well for people who might be able to come and want to participate. So I hope you'll be able to come and have some fun with me and celebrate. And, you know, if you can't, you don't have to be present to win those ones that are going to be in video. So I hope that you guys, I tried to combine, I listened to you guys. Some people wanted videos, some people wanted live, and I tried to make it the best of two. So I hope you don't mind us doing it that way. Just trying to give something to both of you guys, or both of the groups that wanted it that way. So I hope you're doing well. Thank you guys for spending time with me today and listening to my projects and then sharing projects with us. If you want to share down below what you're working on, that would be great. I would love to read about that. We love to know what everybody's doing and keep up with everybody and their projects, or what you might be planning to work on. Share with us and let us know how things are going for you, and what you guys might be thinking about creating over the next month or so. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. I hope to see you all really, really soon. All right, bye-bye.